Okay, look, first we got the Crimean War kicking off this throwback history tour. It begins with trend we see often Russia was trying to expand, but not soften, and then a group of powers got in the way. Britain, France, Turkey, and Sardinia said not today. They all saw this as a threat to trade, where only Russia gains. Not only that, but we see Orthodox monks killed due to violence. Nicholas I wouldn't stop crying. He wanted to be the protector of the land, but when the sultans wouldn't make him that man, the war raged like a burning sand. A little time has passed for our next event, but this triggered a war to a large extent. We're talking about the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. We saw him take out by terrorist hands. Originally, he was going on a trip to Bosnia, even though he knew it was dangerous. On his last route, we saw Karl Novak's plans carry out. He hurled the bomb at the car, but due to his mistakes, missed by far. They went to visit the injured officers afterwards, which there was Princip waiting for his turn. He shot and killed Ferdinand, which waged World War I because Austria-Hungary were not big fans. This next war is definitely one for the books. North and South Vietnam went at it like a couple of crooks. More specifically, North Vietnam were communists, which Russia agreed to help them, which got the US involved. They tried to help the South but couldn't stand tall. They got beat down by the North, couldn't reach the finish line, and came really short. The war lasted 20 years. The US had no idea, so in the end, the world felt the communists believed that had less to fear. They brought the US was weak because of this loss, but in reality, there was no real towel toss. Coming up next, we have a huge tragedy. The Holocaust is what I'm mentioning. We had Nazi soldiers going door to door, taking Jews away more and more. It's what we call a systematic persecution, but due to the evil of Hitler, there was no real solution. The Jews got abused, beat, broken, and starved. There were over 100 million deaths. In our option, this event tops the rest by far. Speaking of World War II, let's continue on the attack of Pearl Harbor. There are many U.S. artillery. Speaking of World War II, let's continue on with the attack of Pearl Harbor, where many U.S. artillery was sank. Japan got through our armor. They ran down thousands of bullets, but it wasn't that. It was the bomb that worked to the fullest. Dropped down on the USS Arizona, left many men dead, but just we ain't talking about Corona. In the end, there were over 2,300 casualties, which left the U.S. with some national needs. After World War II, we're traveling to Korea. Due to the collapse of Japan, it made them say, see ya. The country was divided into two, the North, which invaded the South really soon, only 5 years later, but the U.S. helped the South because they're all right. Next, we got the Treaty of Versailles, where Germany was punished for France's demise. They were hit the hardest and wanted the Germans to repay in the harshest way. But the U.S. wasn't having that, but then saw Germany as valuable trade partners. Can't chuck out at that at bat. But then there was Britain. They didn't fit in. They didn't want harsh or light. They were in the middle of dark and light. But in the end, the punishment was right. The army powers was nerfed and had to pay reparations to the Allies' turf. Although they didn't. They thought they were done. This caused Hitler to rise, which was no fun. Up next, we got the German and Soviet pact. They shocked the world by doing the sack. They saw each other as common threats for years. But Germany knew that if they invaded Poland, Russia would just bring interference. They didn't want that, so that's what brings us to this pact. Although Germany didn't care much, in fact, they sent forces to invade Russia. The pact was broken, but in the end, this failed for Germany, because they'd soon be outnumbered, you see. Russia wasn't having it. They looked at the Allies and saw them as a fallback plan. Rounding out the events, we got 9/11. Think of 28 divided by 7, because in reality, that was the number of planes jacked by Al-Qaeda. Factually, they snuck blades through security. This just really shows the terrorist impurities. They all took over the pilots, and they got control and continued to fly the jets. There was heading for New York, and hit the Twin Towers. All you could see was a cloud of smoke. Towers. Other planes had also happened to crash, but in different locations. One struck the Pentagon, which left a huge adaptation. The final plane landed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Thanks to the brave men who took over the plane destination, they decided not to allow any more demolitions. In the end, so much fear was caused, but then we recovered and popped Osama in his jaw.